Good afternoon, everyone. So now we have debate session. And in this education session, Radhi will facilitate a debate session centered around the resolution. It is resolved that membership growth is a more important factor in sustaining healthy growth is a healthy Toastmasters club than membership retention. We have pre-selected experienced debaters from Agile Articulators Speech and Debate Toastmasters Club, NVIDIA Toastmasters Club, and San Jose Toastmaster Club, who will showcase their debate skills. Audience will also have a chance to interact with the debaters and learn from both sides. Please help me welcome Radhi Spear back to the stage.
All right, so now we're going to have a fun debate about membership growth versus membership retention. But before we get to the debate, I want to go over some stats that we have. And this is all from the Toastmasters International website. This is from last Toastmasters year. We have over 266,000 members. I told you this morning, 272,000 members, and we had a loss, 5.5% loss in membership. The retention rate is 53.1%, and the average age is 49.4. I think the great news is that bachelor's degree or higher is 80.5%, and over close to 40% are multilingual, and over 55% are women in Toastmasters. If you look at the clubs, we have over 14,200 clubs, but we had a growth rate of minus 3.2% last year. We charted over 810 clubs last year, and most of the club types, as you can see, are community clubs, 67%, and company clubs are 23%. When we did a survey of members who left, they're all quite happy with Toastmasters. 96% said that it really helped them improve. And 65% said they were totally satisfied with the Toastmasters experience. The reasons they gave are all pretty good. The time commitment, some personal issues. Only about 20% said it was the dues. But over 64% of alumni said they're considering coming back to Toastmasters. Over 61% speak English in Toastmasters, and 64% are employed, 60% are in for-profit. And I found this interesting. Computer and information technology is close to 15%. By the way, all this information is available on our Toastmasters International website. You can go look at it yourself. Yeah. And 8 out of 10 are willing to recommend Toastmasters. If you look at the demographics, the average age is 49.4. And we need to make that lower, I think. If you want to see how the membership is distributed across the world in terms of age, as you can tell, the Northwest seems to have the oldest Toastmasters. This is the data. And you can see that the youngest are in Asia, 38 years or below. And you can see where we're still missing clubs. South America and Africa is still where we need to grow. So if we all could accomplish our club mission, then we would have a lot more members, and they would be so much better for the organization and for all of us. And I can't tell you enough about our club mission. That is our goal. Every single one of us in our clubs, we need to make sure we provide a supportive and positive learning experience where members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. And what can I say? If you always do what you always did, we'll always get what we always did. So we have to think of what is it we can do to improve our membership. And that's why we're going to have a debate today. Should we focus on membership retention? Should we focus on membership growth? What should we do? And Dr. Smedley, when he first started Toastmasters, a long time ago, these were his thoughts on us. He said that the Toastmasters Club, which has the right sort of program, does not lose its members. I guess the Toastmasters Club that does not fulfill its mission would not lose members. And the club whose membership is shrinking has something the matter with it. So it's all food for thought. So the resolution today is, it is resolved that membership growth is a more important factor in sustaining a healthy Toastmasters Club than membership retention. And to debate this, I'd like to first call on Andrew Lee, who will speak about membership growth.
Fellow Toastmasters, guests, and for those who are listening in virtually. To quote a great, rather recent philosopher and naturalist, Charles Darwin, and forgive me if I paraphrase this quote, "It is not the strongest nor the most intelligent organism that gets a chance to procreate. It is the one most adept, it's one that is most keen on adapting that gets to pass on its genes." Now, obviously, we're not here to fight during the jungle, and we are certainly not like a bunch of animals out in the wild. We are Toastmasters. But we are still an organization, and we still have a mission to fulfill. Of course, the resolution says right there, it is resolved that membership growth is a more important factor in sustaining healthy Toastmasters clubs than membership retention. Let me go ahead and start off by saying, yes, membership growth is more important. Let me start off by having 2 points. Think about the statement, where leaders are made. Many of you came to Toastmasters with your own reasons of joining, but ultimately, you are not only trying to become leaders in your respective organizations, but perhaps leaders in your personal life. Well, what is a leader? A leader is someone that is, very basically, confident in their own ability. More precisely, to persuade those to believe in what they believe, whether it be in a marriage, at work, whether you're dealing with clients, or just simply doing a speech. Okay? That includes persuading people to join your organization. Now, we all have leadership positions such as the president, VPE, and such. Where, as a leader, and some of you can answer this yourself, what is the best place for you to practice your leadership skills? Other than Toastmasters, other than you're inside the club. It's using real life experience by getting strangers to be in your club, to get new members. Therefore, it is always important to get new blood inside your club. Okay? It is more important to get new members to join the club because not only are you getting practice in your leadership skills, but you're also potentially gaining new insights on what goals you as a club should be going after, and also maybe new insights on how to lead your club. Okay? This is far more important than retaining those in the long run that you have inside your current club. And I believe that is my time.
Okay. Now, I'd like to call upon Declan Shelby to speak for member retention. And speak within the blue line.
Thank you very much. My name is Declan Shalvey, and I'm going to argue against this point. It is not resolved in my mind that membership growth is a more important factor in sustaining healthy Toastmasters Club than membership retention. In fact, I want to propose the opposite. And I want to use one of Radi's quotes to that effect, if I may. Ralph Smedley said, "If a club is losing members, there is something wrong with it." And I contend that if there's something wrong with a club or any organization, you need to fix it if you want a healthy club. Now, practically speaking, for this argument, I'm going to redefine it just a little bit. Membership growth, in my opinion, is the sum of retaining existing members and attracting new members, as Andrew said. And I have two key points to make. The first point is essentially that you can't have true healthy clubs and membership growth without addressing both these questions, retaining existing and attracting new. But my contention is that retaining existing members comes first. It underpins the second item, and it sets a solid foundation for it. Now, I want to tell you a story in business that many of you heard, and there's much data and research to substantiate it. If you have the choice of working to get a new customer or to retain an existing customer, it is well understood that the costs of getting a new customer far outweigh the costs to retain an existing customer. You have to bring a product to the market, perhaps to the customer. You have to engage with them. You have to sell them on it. You have to do all the marketing. You have to make sure it fits within their roadmap or business model. Now, that situation is mirrored in Toastmasters. Because to get a new member in Toastmasters, you have to have an open house, let's say. That's one of the more common methods we use. You need to do some extensive PR. You need to reach out through social media. You need to create a message as to why members might join your club. It's a lot more effort to get new members. And why do I say that's the second priority? Because there are existing members sitting right in front of you. And some of those members, 50% or 47% of those members are already at risk. And all you have to do is talk to them. Why is Toastmasters failing you? When you came and when you joined, what were you expecting? What were your goals? And how are we letting you down? Tell me so we can do something about it. So my contention is, firstly, get those existing members to stay. Now, the second point is that as we focus on attracting new members, look at the process. Guests come to our clubs. When I was looking for clubs 10 years ago, I came to a club and the first thing I wanted to know, are these people wasting my time? Is there a well-organized meeting? Is there an agenda? Is it clear what's going on? That was a minimum for me. And secondly, can I learn something about public speaking or leadership from these people? Guests are very intelligent about what they want. And they're looking for probably things like, yeah, can the people inspire me? Can I learn from them? But they're also saying, I want a culture that fits. They're assessing the existing membership. So if the existing membership is wobbly and not interested, not participating, those guests will probably say, let me keep looking. So in summary, ladies and gentlemen, address the retention issue first, build some health at a core level, and then use all the techniques that we know about to attract new members. Thank you very much.
To speak about membership growth, I'd like to call Li Ping Ma.
Thank you, everyone. And am I in the center? Thank you. Okay. And I do think membership growth is essential to the International Toastmaster organization. Is the utmost important thing to Toastmasters. Why is that? I will illustrate this with you in two aspects. First one, let me ask, what's the mission of International Toastmasters? Before we answer that question, I want to share one of my experience being area director last year. In one of those very beginning last year, those leadership meetings, our district director, Abhijit Joshi, asked one question. Hey, do you know how many people live in the Bay Area? Do you know how many members in our district, the Toastmasters? I'm not at good members. I'm not good at numbers. I don't remember the specific numbers, but you can see this big and this big in our district. So why is that? And the mission of International Toastmaster organization is trying to provide a supportive environment for everyone to learn. You say that's the mission of International Toastmaster. So how about ourselves? Why do we want to be Toastmasters? What do we get? In my experience, not necessarily I want to be a public speaker or I want to be a leader. Mainly the skills I got from Toastmaster, which I think it's essential to my daily life. It's like my clothes. It helps me to express myself better in an effective way, in an efficient way. So to better understand myself as well. Part of the Toastmaster experience, when I express myself, I'm exploring myself. More accurately, I'm identifying a real me, internal myself. You know, there's a Chinese old saying, it's a wisdom to know yourself better. That's so important for your life journey. When I know myself better, I'm more confident. When I'm more confident, it's like I wear a beautiful, I dressed up in front of everyone in the world. So that's what I think. Toastmaster is essential to everyone. Everyone should learn, practice this skill. I wish this skill set can be a hands-on experience provided in school for teenagers. Because currently, I can see my daughter is struggling, fighting with that, her identity, herself. She got confused somewhere in her life. So overall, Toastmaster is essential to everyone. At most is we want to deliver this to everyone. That's why membership growth is essential to these Toastmasters. And everyone should get into Toastmaster skills. Thank you. Did I convince you?
Now to speak for membership retention, I'd like to call on Sudhakar Singh. Speak in the blue area.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'll try to convince you that this is a chicken and an egg problem. An egg came first. So, membership retention doesn't just involve not letting people go. There are people already in Toastmasters. They're already there. So maybe we should try to create those experiences, those resources for them, so that they feel valued. And they can continue to learn, grow, and maybe give back to the club. Now, life is not getting any slower, and days are not getting any longer. So you have limited focus and limited attention. So when you wake up, do you continue to work on the tasks that you were doing yesterday, or do you just continue to hold on new tasks? I'll give you a personal example. Just months ago, I was into running, and I felt I should just continue to get more miles under my belt, and I did not care about my health. I felt I was just getting enough nutrients, have a good diet, maybe I'll be just fine. But then at some point, I overworked, I overran, and I felt a small pain in my knee that grew worse. When I met a doctor, they asked me to get tested, and I found that I'm vitamin D deficient, which makes me more prone to injuries. So basically, I focused on just getting more miles, but not on my health overall. So the point I'm trying to make is, it's important to look at the health of the current clubs before thinking about going out and getting more members. To give a real life example, how many of you have heard about REI Co-op? Thank you. So they are an outdoor equipment seller, or like online seller and retailer. And what they are trying to create is not get more users, but they're trying to create a community. So when people go and buy equipment from them, they like to come back. They create custom email strategies and make them feel valuable. People feel if they are buying from REI Co-op, they are part of something bigger, a community, not just a club or another thing. So I believe that we should focus on member retention, and it ties to the overall goal of having a healthy club, which in turn can lead to more member growth. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the membership growth want to give a rebuttal?
Yes, it does. First of all, thank you for my opponent for coming up here and stating your points. Very good points. However, some holes that I would like to point out. I'm going to go ahead and go from the most recent, and I'm just going to go all the way to the beginning. You bring up the example of REI. and how it's basically a co-op. It's trying to build a community to foster its brand. Well, how do you think they're trying to grow that community?
It is on, but closer.
Testing. Yeah. Okay. You say again?
Virtual.
Oh. I hope they can hear me now. Okay. What was I saying? Okay. Well, how do you think they grow their community? By being able to bring in new membership through a great strategy. He then, before that, brings an example of training and how he overtrained, and basically he had a deficiency. Well, for those of us who train on the regularly, either in some sort of sport, you have to bring in new nutrients or more of a critical nutrients that you may be lacking during training, much like getting new members. You cannot simply, or at least in training, you cannot simply work with what you have if you don't know what you're missing. And then my opponent before that brings up the point of how getting new members takes a lot of effort, how it takes a lot of energy. Well, if the club is healthy, that shouldn't be a problem. But just to point out, the resolution has nothing to do with membership or whether or not the club currently at that time is healthy or not. The resolution simply states that membership growth is a more important factor in sustaining a healthy Toastmasters club. And then a point was brought up to say that a club needs to have a solid foundation. There needs to be a core of people to sustain the club, to keep it running. However, has anybody here heard of the word stagnant? Stagnancy is a problem. How many of you, raise your hand if you've heard of companies who have retained the same leadership, their same leadership for an extended period of time? No, companies go through changes all the time. Off the top of my head, I cannot think of any company, at least here in Silicon Valley, that have retained their original leadership roster over a period of 30, 40, or 50 years. There's always some sort of change. They always have to bring in new blood, new points of view. They have to adapt to the times. So while my opponent brings up some, good points, I think they fall short of trying to address the main resolution. Please vote for the affirmative.
Now I'd like to call on Declan to give his rebuttal.
Thank you, Roddy. Earlier today, close to lunchtime, Li Ping, one of my visceral opponents in this argument, asked me to take this slot. And I know her well. She's a lovely person, and I'm going to be nicer to her than I am to Andrew. But please, Andrew, don't take it personally. More seriously, I will deal with some of the points that Andrew made and Li Ping. I think Andrew made some very valid points about adaptation. The survival of the fittest, it happens in nature, it's the way entities and organisms propagate themselves. But I want to remind us and ground us in a little bit of Toastmaster data about membership and retention and all of those things that Radi presented. And thank you for that. Retaining members has been an issue in Toastmasters for a long time. It is not a new issue. If you look at the DCP measurement metric, it requires us to replace 40% of our members every single year. This is a problem that we have as an organization going back a long time. And I think I want to ground us in that and focus on that older problem. It's not new, and we don't have to reinvent the wheel just because we are living in this particular century with all of this technology at our disposal. So let's focus on that issue as an older, longer issue. So adaptation and changing what we do is not necessarily a panacea for this. We sometimes have to do the old things that we did in the past that did work. The second point I want to make about Andrew's argument, I felt, Andrew, to be candid with you, that it was too skewed towards the value that leaders get. You talked about leaders being confident in their own ability and their ability to persuade others to their own points of view. And where to practice leadership is to get strangers, these new members to join our clubs and practice. Get them to believe what you say. That's a value to leadership. And if I could, I would bring up the graphic that Radi had this morning, where she had members at the top of the pyramid. She had members, officers, areas, divisions, etc. Go back to the basics, I suggest. This is about people. It's about understanding what people want in Toastmasters. It's about what they're there for, what they're trying to achieve, and in some cases where they're failing. And in some ways, I'm a little bit skeptical about the reasons people give for leading. I'm not for leaving, and I'm not just arguing against the data because it suits my purpose. I think sometimes people articulate or struggle to articulate why they leave an organization, why they leave a job. Are you honest when you talk about why you left company A versus B, or whatever? We tend not to be direct about it. So my suggestion here is that we go back to the basics, and that's why I suggest when you cast your vote, think about the members, and I want to serve all of the members, not just the new members. I want to serve the existing members. And Li Ping, my close friend, my good friend, you did talk about the promise that Toastmasters offers and the promise that it makes to helping us find the real me. I love that. To finding our voices, to finding our leadership talent, to finding many other things. But I'm also going to quote your argument back to you. We must deliver this promise to everyone, including the existing members. Let's get them first. It's never been an either or for me. It's just a question of focus and what comes first. Thank you very much.
I'll call on Li Ping now to give the summary.
Okay, I'll try to practice what I learned from our previous speech from Aaron. I'll try to use less words, so it will be memorable for you. First, at organizational level, membership growth is essential to Toastmaster business organization. Then at club level, think about this. If a person doesn't learn new skill, then the person always stay here, never grow. If a club doesn't have new members, the club probably will die sometime, sooner or later. Then at a functional level, what we learned from Toastmaster is essential, most important skills to our daily life. It's necessities to our daily life. So, are you enjoying being Toastmaster here today?
Yes.
Can we share this with everyone else in the world?
Yes.
So we should let everyone else join the Toastmasters. So Toastmaster membership renewal is so important. It's the basic, the essential. Summary, are you going to vote for affirmative side, please? Thank you.
I'd like to call upon Sudhakar to give his summary.
I would like to start by quoting Leaping Ma. She said in her rebuttal that we should try to identify the real me or us. I think we can apply that sentiment to a club or the Toastmaster as a whole when we try to identify the issues that we are dealing with. And that brings us to this quote, wisdom to know better. So I think the issue that we are trying to solve here is prioritizing the resources that we have. And ultimately, we believe that we should first focus on the member retention. I'll ask the same question that Leaping asked you. Are you folks taking away something valuable from this meeting? How many of you are taking something valuable? And how many of you are now ready to bring in more like new members to the club? Please raise your hand. And that's the thing we were trying to prove to you, that we should feel healthy, satisfied, valued, more connected first, and then we can think about getting more members so that they can feel more valued, more connected, and more satisfied. Thank you.
Wow. How do you think our debaters did today? Do you think they missed any points? Okay, I'll go first and then I'll let you. I think when you get new members, there's more variety, right? This makes the meetings more interesting. And I think with the existing members, you get mentors. If you only had new members, who would be there to mentor them? So I think both sides missed one point, I think, but go ahead.
Yeah, like a true engineer, you are also an engineer. I'd like to.
Wait.
Oh, I'm sorry. Like a true engineer thinks, you like to peel the onion in the statistics and find out what should be the average membership loss when Toastmaster International was growing, and what is it now? Are we losing the regular cycle members, meaning to say 50% of the members may just stay for 2-3 years and then go away because they are busy with the career or something else they want to do? Or are we losing members quickly? That is a problem. So if you peel the onion, looking at the statistics, I think that will give you where the priority should lie, where our resources should be deployed. So I don't know the details, but I would look beneath the statistics and peel the onion and find out exactly my point. I believe both are important, but I understand you want to prioritize one over the other. So peel the onion.
I kind of felt the fundamental premise did not surface in the sense that if you look in modern world, all businesses and the corporate world is highly focused on retention because retained customers are the best advocates and salespeople for that corporation's products or offering or whatever. So as an example, Disney today can claim that 3 separate generations of people would vouch for Disney. Grandfather who has taken his son as a kid to Disney and now is taking son and grandson to Disney because they retained the grandfather. And that's where the growth is coming from. So in order to have that growth, if you don't have that core retained critical mass, you're going nowhere. You probably will get out of business eventually, and I would hate to see Toastmasters go out of business. My friend up front, who is running a multi-million-dollar business, perhaps can corroborate some of this concept, but this is what I've experienced. Thank you very much.
I'd like to plus one to the two speakers who talk about the importance of the retention, and I can provide a few more data points. So if you're familiar with the DCP Go program, do you know why there's 2 DCP goals assigned to gaining 8 members? Why the number is exactly 8? I learned it in a training. It's because assuming your club number, you have a healthy amount of member which is 20, then you're expected to lose 40% of the member each year. So Toastmasters actually think about that. And I can tell you why. We need to have a good retention for the experienced members in order to mentor the new members. Like my club as a co-op club, we lost many members every year. We also recruit 10 members every year. And our pain is, it's so hard to mentor the new members with a very few group of experienced members. Imagine a new member came in, they are not familiar with our logistics, and in evaluation, they just use a lot of superlative. Oh, your speech is amazing. And it's really hard to point out this. And I feel this pain many years ago. Only until my club maintains a health group of experienced members of 5 to 6, we now stabilize the situation a little bit. So we are not losing members last year, this year. So.
I'm really switching sides as I listen to all these different speeches. So I have this A and B fighting in my head as the very compelling statements were made. Just one thing I would love to add. How many of the folks here have switched 3 to 5 hobbies in the last 5 years? How many different sports that your children have tried in school? More than 2? 3? It's quite common that you switch hobbies and try new things in your life, right? When you feel stuck somewhere, academia, in a professional world, you want to do new things, gain more skills. You just want to do something new to your life when you live in a very stagnant living status. So it's quite common that people want to try something new, and we just have to let them be. So my question is, we see that the retention rate is so low. How is it compared to other hobby clubs or professional clubs? Are we resolving a mission impossible? Are we resolving an unfixable problem? If yes, we should just move on. There's tons of fish out there for us to fish, to let them know the value of this Toastmasters. Why don't we do that?
So I personally think there should be a difference in members who are active staying on for a prolonged period of time versus clubs having a very healthy infrastructure and program that as a benefit helps members stay on long time and also helps with new members. So I do think as a focus, new membership should be more important because the world we live in today is a lot different than the world Ralph Medley founded Toastmasters in. And I think some you just mentioned, like people find new hobbies and interests, but the reality is people don't stay in one company for a prolonged period of time anymore. They can't, because it's often not financially beneficial to do so, and we're in a way forced to find new and better opportunities frequently. That involves moving, that involves finding other clubs, or taking time away from Toastmasters to just focus on life. So I think it's important that we focus on a quality infrastructure that retains members, but with a focus to drive new membership, because it's with bringing in new members that you can ultimately bring new, fresh ideas on how to keep it current for future generations. You're not going to do that by keeping the primary focus on existing older members who joined Toastmasters at a different time.
First of all, thank you for bringing this debate onto this forum. Membership retention and membership growth are both equally important. It's difficult to take a side, but I'll tell you one thing. As per Toastmasters, you require 8 members to be in good standing, for a club to be in good standing. And why is that 8 important? Because when you start a club, you start with 20 people who say that they're interested in the idea of the club. 7 people become club officers. So if you do the math, you need at least 7 people of the same thinking in order to sustain the club. And then you can have new members coming in every 6 months. That's your club rotation, the payment that you make. So when you get the new members, you need at least 7 members from the previous pay period who continue in this journey, so that they can recruit 7 more members and train them. So there has to be an overlap between the older members and the newer members. Now, when this new 7 members come in, or new 8 members come in, they can have at least 1 mentor for each of them. So retention has to continue period over period. And the new members can come in, get trained on the core concept of this club, which is unique, which makes it unique, so that they can get in more new members. So retention of at least 8 members in every pay period should help you to grow and go to the next pay period. So I think retention is important.
I just want to make one point. With our current policy, 3 existing members need to continue, not 7, for the club to be with 8 paid members. Go ahead.
I'm speaking as my experience. My club last year, when we started, actually at the beginning, we have 8 members. And we used to have a lot more members like that. It happened when COVID happened. It took down everything. We did not know how to retain members through Zoom. And that's how we lost people. And everybody say, you lost people, you need to do more open, house opening and do all kind of stuff to get more member in. Well, they right, but if you only have 8 or 10 people in the club, your resources very limited. What is your focus? We did so many open house, nothing happened. This year, I start and I say, let's just focus on our members. Let's make sure all of the members that we have got the value that they sign up for. You probably heard people say, if you build, they will come. And that's what we did. We built our club, we built our members, and when they realized this is the benefit that they got from Toastmaster, and then they just start prefer their coworker, their friend, their family, and now started at 8 members. We have 15 members right now, and we got to the distinguished president award this year.
Right.
And that's what we did.
Okay, this will be the last two, one here and, yeah.
I'm team retention. I look at it like this. When I go and I'm applying for a job somewhere, the one thing that I want to know is what's the turnover rate? Do they have people going in and out of that position? Because if somebody comes in and they stay for just a little while and they leave, my first thought is going to be there's something wrong with that. And if we have clubs that have been in existence for years and you go in there and they've got 5 people as the member, then I go back to that first slide that you showed that there's something wrong there. Not only that, but I think that it matters because word of mouth is the best advertisement that Toastmasters have. And so you're going to need those people who have been like me and everyone in this room to stand up and state what Toastmasters has done for them. And that's going to help. So you need that retention, and that's going to help with the new growth. I don't know, the other way around doesn't really work.
There were some great points made by both sides, by the Toastmasters today. But I think to make a distinct prioritization between membership growth and membership...
Close.
Am I audible?
Closer.
Okay. To make a distinct prioritization between membership growth and membership retention, something that we can borrow from software engineering is to compare the worst case scenario in both situations. So would you consider a Toastmasters club that only has retained members and no new members a healthier Toastmasters club than one that constantly has new members but lacks membership retention? Personally, I'm team retention as well. Because there was an interesting point made about stagnation, and I would argue that you couldn't call a club stagnant just because the members are retained, but the members themselves are growing. That's the point I would make.
All right. So by applause, how many believe that membership retention is more important? Okay. Applause. How many believe membership growth is more important? Well, membership retention and membership growth, they are both important, but thank you all for participating. Back to you.